In this video, I'll be showing you 10 Q1 low content book niche ideas that can make you $1,000 a month. Or who knows, maybe even more.
I like it a lot.
Hey guys, welcome to yet another niche research video. As always, we will be doing this research live, which just basically means that we'll be discovering these niches as we go along together. And as always, we'll be putting the good ideas into our little Google Sheets document. And to do this research, we'll be using a magical, mystical crystal ball that uses ancient magic to see into the past and to whisper of things yet to come in the future. Oh no, wait. We'll actually be using the BookBeam niche finder and the BookBeam Chrome extension. So guys, as always, you can get these two powerful tools that I'll be using throughout this video, the niche finder and the Chrome extension, by going to bookbeam.io and selecting one of the pricing plans you feel is the most appropriate for you. And you can also get access to the book tracker, the keyword research tool to see search volumes and competition indicators and more. Get access to the keyword generator, generate massive lists of keywords, get access to the category explorer, and more. So mostly we will be focusing on low content book niche ideas, as is promised, as is the title of this video. But if I see niches that are good opportunities that do not quite fit under this low content niche kind of umbrella, if they don't quite fit under this category, maybe it's a little bit like mid content, like a drawing book that has both illustrations and text. So if I see these niches as I go along, I will still raise them up as good ideas, because to me, good niches are good niches, and it's not really that good of an idea to really narrow yourself down to I'll only focus here where everybody else is focusing. It is a better strategy to look anywhere where there are good niches and where you feel you can produce something that's good and high quality. It is really important that you actually set yourself apart from everybody else, and you should not be afraid to really invest more time and more energy into producing like higher quality books that even could have a bit higher content, like a drawing book that has some text, that has elements that could put these niches outside of the low content book niche kind of category. So just wanted to raise that, because I know there are some of you guys that say, hey, this is not quite low content, this has a bit of text inside of it. I think that's just kind of a, perhaps it's just a technicality that you are correcting me on, which is fine. I totally get that if that's where that's coming from. Or also perhaps you are only focusing on low content niches because perhaps you are an illustrator, or perhaps you like working with illustrations and all sorts of these creative types of books. That's totally valid. I can understand that and respect that. However, what I also think is going on is that some of you guys are like, oh, this is not a low content book niche idea. I have to actually invest more time, more effort into this, and this is not something that I can just crank out in 3 days. And that thinking, guys, is really not good. That is not setting you up for success, because to succeed, you need to produce at a high level. You need to be able to be versatile. You need to go where the crowd is not, meaning select niches that are good, that where the massive crowd of the other low content publishers haven't yet got to. That's how you should be thinking, instead of, oh no, this will take me too much time and effort to make. Oh, I prefer to do only low barrier things. That's everybody likes to do low barrier things. Once enough people hear about a low barrier thing, they all flock to it, and the opportunity just kind of dissipates because there's too much competition. So you kind of got to go and find these places where there's not that many people. So with that said, now let's talk about Q1. What is Q1 for those of you that are new here? Q1 is the first quarter of the year. Those are the first 3 months. That's January, February, and March. And so what happens during Q1? What happens during the start of the year? So all we really have to do here to know where to start our search is we have to understand what happens in the collective consciousness of humanity in pretty much whichever markets that we are looking at. And so what happens during the start of the year? Everybody's setting their New Year's resolutions. This year I'll be happier, healthier, wealthier. So they're trying to improve their health, their finances, perhaps their mental health. So all sorts of self-improvement and self-help. Besides that, there's also planners that people buy at the beginning of the year, and a couple of other niches that we're probably going to touch on as we go along. Then there's also the big kind of seasonal dates like Valentine's Day. That's really big around which people, especially in America, also in the UK, but mostly in America, it's very, very big, Valentine's Day, around which people purchase a lot of different gifts for one another and books as well, of course. Then there's also, after that, the final one is also St. Patrick's Day, which I believe is at the end of March, which is also not quite as big as Valentine's Day, but it's still big enough to be worthy of our attention. So now that we've covered, we know that what Q1 is about, let's get started with our niche research. Off to the niche finder. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the BookBeam niche finder, and to get started, I'll search for the highest selling self-published journals on all of Amazon. And to do that, I'll just enter journal keyword into here. I'll select self-published out of the publisher options, and I'll also enter a rank of, let's say, 1 to 32,000. And reviews, I'll leave also a very big range of reviews, just let's say 2,500 for the reviews. I'll leave the categories blank because I'm open to any and all ideas, and I'll hit find books over here and I'll see what it shows me. All right, so here are the results, and on page 1 I'm immediately seeing a bunch of very interesting potential opportunities. Now, right off the bat, the demand for all of these and the numbers for all of these are really good. Like, check this out. The first one is just generating like a crazy amount of revenue and profit for this person. But we do, of course, as always, we have to do some more research on each of these. Now, so what do we have? So we have a manifestation journal for Black women. So that's kind of a spiritual type of journal for a specific audience, which is Black women in this case. Then we have a spiritual self-care journal for Black women. So that's again along the same lines. Now, I will mention what I think is the perhaps more obvious for some than it is for others. For this niche, you would have to, this niche is not for everyone. You have to really make sure that you are able to, you have some sort of connection to this group of people, which will be Black women. You're able to empathize with them and understand them, and that's what will lead to having the right type of, being able to produce a good journal for this audience. Because, you know, if you just go willy-nilly, oh cool, like I'll make one of these, and you know, you're not really able to understand this audience. And by the way, this goes for many different, not only for, you know, an audience of Black women. This goes for many different types of demographics and audiences as well. You have to be able to relate to them deeply enough, because, you know, they're spending money on this, and the market is improving all the time. What they're able to buy, the different books that they're able to buy. So that just means that their expectations are going up. And if you're, you know, if you produce something that's like a bit lackluster and you weren't paying attention to it because you really don't care, you just want the money, you will not succeed, because people will really feel that there's, you know, this book is lacking the effort and the care, and that will be reflected in the Amazon reviews, and which then will reflect in your results. So you really have to be able to produce on a high level. So that's a note about that. But still, we can definitely put this niche into our list right here. So that would be, I would describe it as spiritual journals, spiritual journals for Black women. Comments, I don't really think we have to enter much comments there. I already kind of touched on everything. All right, so just to have a little bit deeper look into this niche, in case some of you are interested in it, just to see what's going on regarding demand and regarding competition. So here we see that this book, published 10 months ago, is doing quite well as well. So that's another kind of proven use case from real life, which is just the market. It's on Amazon, so it's working. It's doing very well sales, whilst there's high demand for it. So there is demand here, but we also see, okay, so this emotional self-care for Black women is also doing well. So again, if you feel that you can produce well for this, it could be worthwhile for you. So if we sort by BSR, we see that there's most of them are doing really well. So we see that even these are doing sitting at 44,000. So if you don't quite manage to, for whatever reason, and these things happen, that's reality. Like there's no guarantee of 100% success rate every single time. So, but if you're shooting for here, your ranking to be up here, and with sales rate being up here, you could land at, let's say 30, 20, 40,000 BSR, and that still will recoup your investment over time. Anyhow, so this confirms that this niche has good potential. Again, if you're interested in it, let's keep looking. All right, so next up, we're seeing this weight loss journal for women. This certainly is interesting. It's selling very well, and let's see how it's been doing over time. Yeah, it's been doing very, very well, and I promise you it will do exceptionally well in, let's say, end of December, January, and probably February as well, when there's all that focus on self-improvement. And this, this definitely falls under that umbrella, and this listing, this book, will be capitalizing, benefiting from that increased demand surrounding weight loss, health improvement, and so on and so forth. We could have a quick look at, let's see what's up regarding competition, because clearly demand is huge, but so is competition. If we see here that it's 50,000 competitors, so some of the highest BSRs are 2,000, 10,000. We can open up the page statistics just to see what is the distribution like, how much do they fall off. From just having a brief look here with the Chrome extension, I'm seeing that there's a couple of high sellers, but there's also a lot of competition, and on page 1 there's also a lot of books with not really stellar high rankings. So what I would do here is I would actually type in weight loss and see what it brings me under the category for this search of weight loss, that is weight loss, and see what kind of ideas it's going to generate for me here. So again, we're seeing these two that we already saw. We have 10,000 positive affirmations. I don't know what weight loss would have to do with that. So yeah, not much ideas from this search. If we were to dig down, I'm sure we would find some interesting ideas for weight loss type of journals. There's definitely plenty, but I'll still put this into our idealist weight loss journal. So, and just as a comment, I put in that we would have to find probably a unique angle if we were to go after this specific niche. All right, let's keep on moving. What else do we have here in this initial search? We have shadow work journal for beginners. So this is a spiritual category type of books. In case you're not that familiar with the so-called spiritual new age vernacular, what this means, what is shadow work, is just dealing with your traumas, dealing with your, perhaps it's childhood traumas or what have you, dealing with all your emotional baggage. So let's have a look at what the Chrome extension is going to tell us about this niche. So yeah, this is definitely something that we can add to our list here, shadow work journal. Again, you may have to find some unique angle because there is a decent amount of competition. So you really have to think how you could position yourself in a unique way in this space to stand out, to get attention, and to get those sales. Next up, we have a gratitude journal notebook. I'm not sure if this is going into our list because although it is an awesome idea, it is also most likely highly competitive. So again, here you would have to, demand is huge. Positive You, a personal growth journal for women. Let's have a look briefly at page statistics. How many of these are self-published? Actually many. So I'm seeing 16 results on this page, and 10 of them are self-published, so that's pretty good. And if we look at the BSRs, well, average is not that good, but we don't need to necessarily limit ourselves by just looking at the average. Actually, this is something that I see quite a few of you doing. I actually think that you need to look at more things than just the average, because here clearly we have a book that is like a super seller, pretty much like 500 in Amazon.com. That's like super high sales rate. We're seeing here that it's, from around 200 to 300 sales per day. There is clearly very high demand, but there are also a bunch of books that are like in the millions, which is also, jacking up the average BSR quite and making it quite high. So if I unclick some of these like super low ones, Because if you think how BSRs work, there's limited numbers that can go up in the high range. You can't go past 1, right? But you can go unlimited into the millions if a book hasn't sold in what, a couple months, which is how these rankings work. If it hasn't sold in months or maybe more than a year, it's going to have a super like 4 million ranking, and it's going to be slowly just like falling with every week. And what happens when we have this average BSRs here? It can really distort our results. So what you can do is you can unclick what I did here. You can unclick them and then see what it shows you. But okay, I'll throw in this. I'll throw in this idea here as well, gratitude journal, because it's very clearly a very high demand niche. But here it will be very critical, again, to find unique angle. Again, you're going after the new angle. I'm sure there would be angles that we find. So what do I mean when I say angle? I mean like how you position yourself. So it could be gratitude journal. I'll just throw out some ideas. Gratitude journal for kids, for a specific type of audience, for women, as we saw, perhaps for Black women, for a certain type of person, for girls. So that would be for younger girls. You could definitely split it up by audience type. Just one idea. So these are just some ideas that I'm coming up with right now. I'm sure, like, if you thought about more, you would get ideas. Sketchbook, I think that's too broad for us to be interested in it. Then we have unicorn journal up here. So pretty much all results here on page 1 are like really good ideas. Let's keep going. Let's see a couple more pages if we discover something interesting. So this again is another book that confirms what we saw before. We have more spiritual type of journals going on here. Tarot card journal. We have what looks like handbook for the recently deceased, which looks like kind of a joke type of, what is this? What is this? So this is what seems like, okay, this is a big series. Well, this is interesting, but let's not get distracted and let's continue our search. Sketchbook for boys. So the sketchbooks are generally like a massive niche, and if you do it for boys, that's a bit more narrowed down. I still think that's going to be too competitive and too broad. So generally speaking, there's always exceptions to this, but more broad generally just means more competitive. If the niche is not super new, if it's been around for a while, then more broad just means more competitive, but also means access to a bigger market. Tarot card journal. Again, this could be something that you could look into. 369 manifesting journal. Let's have a look at these journals, like for example, manifesting journal, manifestation journal. Let's see what's the situation. So looks like demand is very high actually. And let's see what happens if we unclick this one. Yeah, okay. We're gonna click this 700. I mean, uncheck it, which when I click this uncheck button right here, it unchecks it from the average BSR calculation. And that allows us to just see without this, how much this just specific ranking that's really low, well, high numerically low in terms of sales rate, how much it is distorting the average BSR over here. So here clearly we're seeing that this is a good space. This is a bit more broad than what we had up here. We'll do like manifestation journal. This is again under the spiritual umbrella, niche down somehow, needs unique angle. And we're pretty much saying the same thing for all of these, that we need to have a specific angle. We can't just do like so broad, it will become more challenging. Here actually you could try to still do more broad, although more broad means more competition, and which also means more effort to fight your way up to the top. Whereas if you have a unique angle, you kind of more organically can, you're just more unique. You're more unique. Your product, your book is more unique. Anyhow, let's continue. Let's keep digging around for really powerful niches for Q1. What else do we have? Camping journal. I actually added this into one of the other niche videos. So I'm not really going to be adding this. I'll probably have to censor this one out. So we're seeing a whole lot of ideas. I'm not sure how many of them would be like specific to Q1. So for that reason, just to narrow our search, let's look at the new journals. So journals that have been published within the last 4 months. This is the search that I just did. So the same search, except it'll be weeding out, filtering out only the books that have a maximum age. So from pretty much from 0 to 4 months, that are no more than 4 months old. And so let's see what we see. Gravity Falls journal. I'm not sure what this is, but sounds like it could be copyrighted, so I'm not even gonna touch this. Burn book, Mean Girls Inspired. Again, not touching it for the same reasons. Workbook journal for Mel Robbins. Again. Okay, no. Composition notebook. Complete diabetes journal with fluid. Okay, so this is already something that's I'm more interested. How new is this? Open up Chrome extension. 3 months. So this book is just 3 months old, and it has a ranking of 32,000. And let's see. Yeah, it's been doing consistently well. It's not doing extremely well, but it's doing well. Diabetes journal with, I'll just put diabetes journal as a keyword, and let's see what's up in the store, what's happening in the store. And here we're seeing that, yes, diabetes journal is a high demand keyword. Okay, so by doing this search, we've established that competition is very high, and there is demand, there is decent demand, but competition is way too high. So this one is not going into our list, guys. So we have an average BSR. Even if I would unclick, let's say I'll unclick some of the high BSR ones. Usually it's improving with every one of them, but it's not like drastically improving by a couple of the super high ones. It is improving, but it's not improving by that much. It's not like it's going to 50,000 as an average when we uncheck some of the high ones. So yeah, this is too competitive, not going in the list. So we also have this notary journal. Is that how you pronounce it? Notary. A journal for notarial acts, for notary records. So I believe this is for a audience of lawyers or lawyer assistants, people who work in the law industry, in law, I guess you could say that. So sales rate is good. Notary journal, again, we have to check what is the competition like. And so actually what we could do is we could actually put this notary, if I can spell this right, we can put this inside of the keyword research tool and see what kind of data it's going to show us just for fun. You can also just use the Chrome extension to have a look at page 1. So it's showing me that there's a decent amount of the search volume is actually, it's not bad, it's not huge, and we're seeing that it has 20,000 competitors, which is actually a high. Average number of reviews on page number 1 is not that high. So just, looking at these numbers and using also a bit of my knowledge, I know that most likely most of these competitors are not notary journals, most likely they're journals. So it's worth having a slightly deeper look at this. If I can find the right tab. Where are we? Okay, so this is an alright niche, but I don't love it. So again, it's not going into our list. And just to finish off this last search, let's have a look what we have here. Rectus journal. Next up, let's put in planner into our search. I'll clear off this age limit for the books, and we'll do the same search except for planners. We'll see what type of planner ideas we can gather from this search. So we have a bunch of year 2022 to 2023 planners here. We have, again, the weight loss journal. Let's quickly go over to the other page, because quite a few of these books are kind of repeating the same theme. This one as well. A pocket calendar. That's an interesting angle to the planner niche. Travel logbook planner. All right, so here we have a gag gift. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you the cover, but we have a gag gift. We'll actually be doing another search later for gag gifts, because gag gifts, again, can perform very, very well for Q1 as well. So those will be more like calendar type of gag gifts. We'll have a look at what kind of interesting stuff we can uncover there in that niche. Here we also have a monthly bill and payment organizer. So interestingly enough, we see that the bill planners and the budget planning occurs a bit later in our search. So they have a lower rankings, a bit lower sales rate than the than the calendars do. So let's see 2022. So clearly the keyword here is something like 2022 to 23 monthly planner. How are these doing right now? So clearly these will have already have a great sales rate, and they will continue to have a great sales rate probably until February or so. So let's have a look. Let's sort them by highest. So yeah, clearly there's really good demand, and this demand hasn't really reached its peak yet. So why don't we have a look at actually the historic BSRs of one of these, one of these books. 1 year. When was this published? Okay, so this one was published too late for us to see how it was doing last year. Do we have one that's at least a year old? So more than a year old. So this one, yeah, this one is more than a year old, and also has a bunch of reviews. It means that it was selling well last year. By looking at all these different data points, you can play Sherlock Holmes and uncover like what was happening and what is going on. So most likely this person hasn't really started advertising this book yet, which they should probably do, especially if they have such a good strong set of reviews, which really helps them, as opposed to if you do this now, you have to kind of work harder to start building the reviews. Advertising doesn't work quite as well if you have a strong set of reviews. So this person is a bit missing out by not having ads turned on. All right, so how was it January? Yeah, it didn't go up that high as I would expect, but again, there might be various factors contributing to that. All right, so here I think it's quite clear that there's a whole lot of room for you to be creative in this niche, and there's a bajillion types of covers that can be created. There's a bajillion types of different angles that you can think of. So this is definitely going into our ideas list 2023, if I can spell that right. Journals, monthly planners, and we also had those bill planners that we saw over there. Again, lots of room for differentiation. Why I'm saying that is because I think there's quite a lot of different ways that you can make unique monthly planners. One thing you do have to be careful with is that you don't spam the marketplace with the exact same interior. So what I recommend that you actually do if you do a bunch of different monthly planners is that you also make the interior custom based on whichever theme you are doing. For example, we saw that person was, one of these publishers did like a with leaves, a cover with leaves. So I would recommend that you do the interior, you have some kind of naturey elements inside of the interior to make it a bit different. And maybe there's more ways that I'm not thinking of right now that you can differentiate. So we had the monthly bill planners as well. Those will do very well throughout the year, just like the monthly general planners. Yeah, so here we see that these are not really performing that well, but we can expect for sales to pick up around the beginning of the year. But this one is not performing as well. There's quite a bit of existing competition out there already. And for last year, I'm not really seeing anything that well. But if these also clearly they don't really require that much effort, let's be honest, that much effort to produce. So, maybe you want to have a book that's just chilling there at 60,000 ranking. That's probably pretty achievable. And we can also put that other so-called neighboring idea, which is pretty similar. We can put a budget/bill planner, although it did seem like the demand was not that great. But, it will pick up as time goes on. Let's move on. All right, so here I went to the last page, and I think we've pretty much maxed out all the good ideas for the keyword planner. If you wanted to, you could just stretch the bestsellers rank range a bit higher and keep going, seeing what other a bit lower ranking ideas there are, which still might be good opportunities. Now let's move on to the next search, which is gonna be gag gift. This should be a really fun one. And let's hit search. So out of all these self-published books, we'll be seeing the ones that have the gag gift inside of the title, where the F is my password. So that's an interesting take. So it's like combining that, we've seen this niche for coloring books, swear word coloring books, and it's kind of, taking some of that, like that swearing idea that you just like blatantly like swear. The title is just like a big swear. and you bring that over to the password logbook niche, and you have something new, you have something that is funny. Let's have a look. So password logbook, let's see what we see. So yeah, you see that there's a whole lot of competition. There's a lot of, you know, average reviews are very high on page 1. There's a very high number of competitors. And so this way to add the swear word there, which as far as we know, Amazon is chill with that. As far as we've seen, they're pretty fine with this type of adult books. WTF is my password. So clearly these are doing well. So if you can come up with like a fun or funny title for this, you could stand out very well, because these types of titles, not only are they funny and fun to gift, they're also great attention grabber. Because think about it, if you have this title on your book, imagine this is your book, and it says like, where the F is my password? And it's just very attention grabbing. It grabs people's attention. It's like almost like an angry sentence, but it's pretty clear that it's kind of in a funny context. So that's something to consider. Like, would it do exceptionally well in Q1? Maybe a bit. So this is not like a Q1 specific type of niche, but I could see that when people are shopping for their planners and stuff like that for the new year, they could be also picking up like new, fresh, like things like a password logbook and similar type of things for the new year. So I think we'll put it in our list as well. We also saw that there are some books that are crossing our $1,000 a month threshold over there. So password, logbook, and I'm pretty sure that the rankings will increase around definitely December and most likely January as well. All right, so next up we have a niche that's a little bit out there. So those of you guys who are perhaps a bit sensitive, feel free to scroll over to when I'm finished talking about this. But here we have pooping animals calendars. Now, it is pretty hilarious, and I think it will be funny. Like, I can think of some of my friends, but again, this is very different from person to person. I can think of some friends that I could give these types of calendars to, and that would find it hilarious, and we would probably have a good laugh. And it's totally silly, it's totally a joke, it's a total gag gift. So we're seeing that these sales rates are good, and let's really quickly look at this, how this was performing last year around December, performing very well. And let's look what happens in January. Still performing quite all right, although not as good as in December. So clearly December is like a hot period, but it still has a good sales rate throughout, all the way throughout. However, we're seeing a big problem right here. So it appears that this is published by two different people, but they're using the same image, and this is problematic because Amazon doesn't like this, and also it's not good for you that someone else has the exact same cover because you bought a stock photo. So this is something that is quite problematic. And how do you think around this? Really, I do not know. You could maybe unique design, but that is a downside of a niche like this. Again, this is not for everyone, but I'm sure there's people who also think this is hilarious. But again, you know, different niches for different people. So here clearly we have a bunch of gag gift ideas. Most of them, to be honest, they don't really seem to be focused around Q1. So although they might be really good ideas in general, they're not really going into our list. What I'm going to do, I'm going to search for the year 2022, or just a number actually, 2022, as in the title, and just to see if there are some types of seasonal or not quite even seasonal, they're type of year focused types of books, like for example the calendars, something like that we may have missed in some of the other searches. So yeah, we're seeing here that some of the things are repeating. Here we have 2022 crossword puzzles. Like I don't really know if there's something that there's in some way that you can make crossword puzzles 2022 specific. So I don't really think I'm going to look further into that. Let's keep going. So I just went through a couple of different pages for this search, and I didn't really see anything new, anything other than what we already discovered in the previous searches. So, and just to complete our search, complete our searching through all of these awesome niches, like we're just getting piles of ideas now. Many of them are not making it into our list either because they are there's not enough demand or too much competition, or they're just not, there's many great ideas that are not really Q1, quarter one specific, which is what this video is kind of themed around. So to wrap up our search, let's look at the two seasonal kind of events or days or holidays, which is Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day. Let's have a search for what kind of book ideas there may be for these two keywords and events. So what I'll do for this search, I'll search for books that have Valentine's inside of the title, and I'll also, because we're still quite a ways away from Valentine's Day at the time of recording, I'll also expand the bestsellers rank like really high. So I'll search for books that currently have a bestsellers rank of 400,000. Number of reviews, maybe, yeah, reviews we can leave the same, and I'll hit find books, and let's see what it delivers to us. Let's see what kind of Valentine's Day books there are that even have a decent sales rate, like ways away from Valentine's Day. So first off, we're seeing a kind of Valentine's Day themed, at least looking from the cover, Valentine's Day themed picture book, although it's not necessarily just about Valentine's Day. All the Reasons I Love You, fill in book for partner. Yeah, it doesn't have great ratings. People don't love this, clearly. But this is something that you could look into a bit further. Here we have I Spy with My Little Eye. We have dot markers. All right, we're on page number 2, and here I'm seeing a bunch of pretty interesting ideas. So here we have Would You Rather Valentine's Day edition. Let's see how it was doing last year. How old is it actually? It's 10 months old, so last year was its first season, so to speak. Oh man, and it was doing incredibly well actually. So this is something that you could think about. All right, so here we have a book of dares for married couples. We have a dot markers activity book. Let's see how this one was doing last year. Yeah, it's actually doing not bad. So there's the good side and the downside to producing for these seasonal keywords like Valentine's Day, like St. Patrick's Day, and that is that the upside is that there's a massive demand just erupts basically kind of out of nowhere. There's like no demand, and then it's just huge all of a sudden. So you can do well, but of course the downside is that this time of this demand is quite limited. So you have to do this work, to produce everything, to get everything to be right. You have to work on the all the reviews, but this benefit that you'll get is for a limited time. So you can have a good amount of this good sales rate for a limited time. So there's an upside and there's a downside, but to emphasize the upside a little more, the next year, once you'll have like a good set of reviews from the previous year, you'll be ahead of everyone else who will be just there in the first season. So let's say you have 100 reviews and ratings from the previous year. Let's say you did this last year already. You have a good set of reviews. You'll be much better. You'll be much further ahead from somebody new who has 0 reviews and who'll be just fighting to get ahead. You'll already be like way ahead of these newcomers into the market. So right, we can put some of these ideas into our list. So dot markers, Valentine's Day, dot markers, activity book. We had that Would You Rather book, a Valentine's Day themed as well. I mean, this is a very general comment, but just so you guys know that what you're working with and what you're up against. You can really get fast results, which is what many of you are after. But these results, you'll have to work a bit more for them. So all right, and for the last search, and so for St. Patrick's Day, what works is going to be very similar. Here we're seeing that Would You Rather game book, question and answer game book that people like to play, and it also does very well around peak time. So I'll just copy over. Probably again, if dot markers, like you can really go wild with this. There's so many things that will perform well as long as you make something that is high quality and that has a nice cover and all those basic elements that you probably by now already know that you need to do. So there's many ways that you can think for these two seasonal holidays. All right, guys, so those were the 10 niche ideas. I think we found many more than just 10, but most of them for some reason or another didn't make it into our list here. But yeah, I hope you are more prepared now for the Q1 that is coming up, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.